All right, next up we're going to talk about what an equalizer is and what it does. Essentially, an equalizer allows you to, kind of fine-tune a sound, basically to enhance what it already has. So, for example, if we have a guitar that sounds, it might not just sound, how you want it to sound, or the guitar sounds better in person than it does through the system. EQ might allow you to, craft the sound to basically sound better through the system. For example, actually, let's go ahead and jump over to the equalizer, and I'll kind of show you how we can EQ a sound. Now, there are two ways to get to the equalizer in the system. You want to be selected on your channel. In this instance, we're coming through acoustic guitar on Josiah's channel. So make sure his channel is selected, and you can click the view button in the equalizer box, as well as when you're on Josiah's channel, you can page over to EQ. So I'll go ahead and stick on the LCD screen and jump over. Now you can see right here, the acoustic guitar, there is signal coming through, and I will jump back on the track a little bit. Now this is a graphical representation of basically how the signal is coming through the board. Lower frequencies over here, this is like your bass guitar, maybe a kick drum, kind of that punchy sound you might get from a low frequency instrument. You can think of this as like a piano keyboard. The left side of the piano are the bigger strings that are going to vibrate lower at lower frequencies. And here in the middle, here's kind of like the middle of the keyboard. Here's kind of the right side of the keyboard, which is the really high frequency sounds. And there are a couple ways to begin with EQing. There's an important way to look at this is what do I want to emphasize in the sound, and what is in the sound that kind of just doesn't help it, shine the way you want it to. When I say shine, it basically means, what is the instrument's main quality, and what do you want to emphasize. So for an acoustic guitar, you want the really kind of brightness of the strings, so you want it to sound like an acoustic guitar instead of like a guitar underwater. That's a good example of saying a guitar that has almost no high frequency information over here on this side of the spectrum. You basically want to make the instrument sound as well as it can, sound as good as it can, right from the get-go. So what I basically do whenever I start EQing a sound is once you figure out what you don't want, it allows you to basically figure out what you do want to emphasize from this sound. I'll begin with using a low cut, because everything on stage is going to have low frequency information, and I say that in a sense of, say there's the drums are going through the main speakers in the worship center, and a vocal microphone might pick up that information as well, because the room will echo and reverberate, and a microphone is a microphone. It's going to pick up any kind of sound that gets through it. So the low cut allows you to basically filter out what you don't want, as far as low frequency information, like a rumble from another instrument on stage. So I will basically start from scratch at 0, and what I'll do is I'll kind of roll this up until I realize that it's starting to change the characteristic of the sound. It's change the sound quality. So I think that's about right. Another way you can EQ, I call this, you can call it search and destroy, or basically hunt and reduce. And the way you do that is you choose a frequency band. I'm going to go over to band number 2. And a band is basically a selection of frequencies. And for example, I'll raise the volume of this band number 2. And that allows you to hear what the equalizer is doing. So I can move the band lower and sweep it back and forth. And this allows you to, fine-tune what edits you're making. A good way to do this is to go through, and once you hear something that, when it's emphasized, when it's raised in volume, doesn't help the sound quality of the instrument, you can actually go through and reduce that. So I know I don't really like the sound of that fundamental frequency right here. So what I'll do is I'll go down and I'll reduce the volume of just that frequency area. Now let's say the guitar sounds a little bit dark, and I say dark as in it doesn't sound shiny or bright. As say the pick goes across the strings, you can't really hear the attack of the pick, and you want to be able to hear the percussive quality of the guitar. So I can go up to a higher band, a higher frequency band.
What did you do there to go to the higher one?
To go to a higher frequency band, you can either select on the equalizer box, you can select the band of frequencies that you want. So it starts at the bottom with low, low mid, and high. And you can even see a graphical representation, or you can see it on the graph that when I select the lowest frequency, frequency band number 1, it is actually highlighted on the screen. So let's go to number 2. You see this jumped up to a brighter color. Go to number 3. So now it's selected. Back to number 2, 3, and number 4. Number 4 will allow you to EQ the higher frequencies of an instrument or maybe a sound. So I will roll this down to maybe 5K or so, 5,000 cycles, 5,000 hertz, right around here, and I'll boost that. And now I can hear more high frequency information coming out of the acoustic guitar. So that's basically how you can get a very, very simple EQ of an instrument or maybe a vocal. The same thing goes for vocal channels. Find out what of the vocals you want to emphasize, and then do that with EQ and cut out things you don't want.